exciting, isn't it? If you want to stand, you fucking sit down.
I can't fucking sit down. I'm sorry. I'm used to standing up. How you guys doing?
Listen.
Do you speak English?
Yes.
Good, because I don't fucking speak Hungarian. Because if we can't communicate, then we're all pretty fucked right now. Happy birthday, Charles Bukowski. Give it up, guys. Give it up. If Charles was still alive, he'd be clawing at the inside of the coffin right now. So, before I forget, I want a big round of applause for Nemdebár doing such a beautiful job with the redecorations. The place looks gorgeous. It looks awesome. So how you guys doing? It's exciting being in beautiful Budapest. This is cool for me, so I'm happy to be here. The reason I'm here is I got to be friends with Peter because I'm an American. Like you couldn't fucking tell from my size and the fact that I speak fucking English. I lived for about 30 years outside of New York City. I've been a stand-up comedian for about that long. I got to know Charles from being a writer and performing in New York. And through getting to know Peter and knowing there was a strong Bukowski love in Budapest, we got to be friends. So when I knew about this, I said I wanted to come in and perform and talk to you guys. And everybody's been sitting and reading, which is all kind of really cool, but I wanted to kind of share something personal, knowing Charles the way I did. And I was reminded of 1989. We were out one night, I had a show at CBGB's in New York City, which ironically enough, today is the anniversary of the death of Hilly Crisco, the owner of CBGB's in New York City. So today is kind of really cool. And we were in Little Italy. We had gone out for Italian food. And it was me and Charles and some other comedians and some writers. And we had been sitting in this Italian restaurant for a number of hours. We had been eating and drinking, and there were bottles of wine laying around us like dead gangsters after a mobster hit. And the restaurant closed at like midnight. Well, when it came to Charles Bukowski, you never kicked him out. Whether it was a bar, whether it was a restaurant, they knew if Charles Bukowski was here, he was going to be drinking. And Charles could fucking drink like a fucking Viking. So the restaurant closed at like midnight. It's now 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the morning. We pretty much, at this point, drunk everything we can from the bar. Charles decides he's hungry again. He's in the mood for Chinese food. Well, if you know New York City, Little Italy is right next to Chinatown on Mulberry Street. So Charles said, let's go for Chinese food. 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the morning, you're fucked up. Chinese food sounds really fucking good. So we all stand up and we stumble down Mulberry Street and we find a Chinese restaurant that's still open at 3 o'clock in the morning, which is real easy to do in New York City. And we go in and we sit down. It's a big round table. And it's me, Charles, all the other guys, and a couple of ladies of the evening, a couple of girls that Charles had paid to hang out with him for the night. So we eat, and we eat. We're eating boo-boo gaipan, fried rice, shrimp, everything you could think of. We are just eating voraciously. And they bring us drinks, because when you hang out with Charles Bukowski, you drink. And they brought Charles over a drink in one of these, like, coconuts carved into a monkey's head with a little umbrella in it. And it's full of pineapple and orange slices and limes. And Charles always said, don't fuck up my alcohol with fruit cocktail. I want alcohol, I don't want anything fucking healthy. And he turned and he literally dumped his drink into the potted plant behind him. And he took out the little tiny little tiki umbrella and he held it up and said, what am I going to do with this? Stick this in the piss hole of my dick to keep my penis dry in a rainstorm? And he pulled a bottle of bourbon out of his pocket and he poured it into the monkey's head so he could keep drinking. So we eat and we keep eating and we keep eating and we run out of food. So of course now it's 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning. Charles says, we need more food. Charles orders another round of Chinese food. Like some people order a round of drinks, Charles literally ordered another round of fucking Chinese food. And at this point, he started to take, you know, they give you the Chinese restaurants, the little packs of like hot mustard and sweet and sour sauce and duck sauce. Charles has like 200 in front of him, and he proceeds to start squeezing them into little piles in front of him on the table. So the middle of the table has these little gelatinous piles of hot mustard and sweet and sour duck sauce. And we're just taking fried shrimp and dipping them in, and we're eating them. And the girls are hanging on Charles. And Charles Bukowski loved women, and women loved Charles. He was not a good-looking man, but he was brilliant, and he was funny, and he was smart. And women from all walks of life loved him. So we finished eating, and we stood up to leave, and we walked out of the restaurant. And the sun is coming up over the horizon of Manhattan. And we all said our goodbyes, and Charles is standing there with these two girls standing on either side holding him up. And he said, "Good night, gentlemen. Get home safely." And I watched him reach into the pocket of his sport coat, pull out an egg roll, salute us, take a bite out of the egg roll, and stumble off into the dawn. Peter asked me to kind of say something, kind of a Bukowski quote. Somebody once asked Charles, "What is it like being Charles Bukowski?" And Charles was always very honest about himself. And Charles said, "My life has never been pretty. Hospitals, drugs, alcohol, jail, women. It's never been an easy life. My critics have always accused me of faking these things. My critics have always said, I have faked this. I always wished my critics could accompany me in my life. At no point in my life did I jump into the oven, slam the door shut, and turn on the gas. I am not a good-looking man. I am not a handsome man. There are times where I am walking through a supermarket and I see myself in a mirror. And I see myself, small, angry insect eyes, scarred, twisted face, skin like vomit. And I see myself going, why me? And I see handsome, good-looking men, and all I can think to myself is, thank God that is not me. Thank you guys for supporting Charles Bukowski, and love. God bless Budapest. This is a great fucking city. I'm so fucking happy I moved here. You guys totally rock. Thank you guys so much.